Hello, I'm WBZ TV meteorologist Barry Burbank, and have your forecast for today and for the next several days. Let's start off with a daylight tracker, see what's going on there with our sunrise and sunset times. Today the sun sets at 6:54, and then on September 23rd, that's the first full day of fall. Now next Saturday will be September 22nd, and fall actually begins. It's the autumnal equinox at 9:54 in the evening. So the first full day of fall would be a week from this Sunday, a week from tomorrow. You'll have a sunrise that day at 6:33 in the morning and sunset at 6:40. Then you jump ahead to October 18th. That's when we have our first 7 o'clock sunrise, and our first sunset is just before 6 o'clock at night. So not necessarily anything really to look forward to. We'd rather have it the other way around, be in the springtime, heading towards summer with increasing daylight. But times change, and we're moving into the new season now as we get rid of the last few days of official fall this upcoming week. September certainly has been another warm month. The mean temperature departure is an astonishing plus 4.6, and we have some above average days coming up in the next 2-3 days here as the temperature gets up to 80, especially inland. Along the coast, not as much above average because mostly low and middle 70s there. We're being protected by a ridge of high pressure. It's been that way all week long, and that ridge strong, extending way out in the Atlantic. It's what has forced Florence to move into the Carolinas. Florence now just a tropical storm. But anyway, this ridge of high pressure is still going to be in control for most of our weekend. The dew points, well, they're in the moderate range right now in terms of humidity, but gradually edging up around 65 to higher. That's when we consider that high humidity, and it gets up to 70 or above. We consider that oppressive humidity. So a brief bout of oppressive humidity happening here on Tuesday when the remnants of Florence move by here with some tropical downpours. Then after that, the dew points take quite a nosedive, just where most of us would like to see it, with some refreshing air finally, and that refreshing air will last into Thursday too. If you're going to Fenway Park this afternoon or tomorrow afternoon as the Sox take on the Mets, as they meet the Mets, we'll find temperatures mainly in the upper 70s, mid to upper 70s today. And humid out there, but not terribly muggy, and be mostly in the upper 70s and lower 80s for tomorrow afternoon's game. Tomorrow afternoon's game, of course, is 3 hours earlier, first pitch 1:05. We've had varying amounts of fog around this morning, and a lot of that should be thinning out and burning off. And we have a low cloudiness above it, which has got to be burned off as well, and that should happen. In the afternoon will turn out a lot sunnier in most locations than the morning will be today. That may be repeated tomorrow, but there may not be quite as much of the low cloudiness and fog around tomorrow morning as we've had this morning. So at the beaches today, it looks pretty murky out there with dense fog. And in some locations along the coast, it may not burn off at all. It's tough to say, especially this time of the year, if there's going to be a total burn off or there's just going to be a partial burn off. Anyway, so it may be changeable from beach to beach, but high tide will occur late this afternoon at 4:20. For the Cape and the Islands, well, there's been some fog around, but in some spots, but not as much fog on the Cape as has been otherwise. We'll go for the middle 70s today and tomorrow with any low clouds and fog giving way to some sunshine. Up in the mountains, it looks like some fine weather coming up, although tomorrow it may turn partly cloudy. There might be an isolated shower coming up in the mountains. Let's talk about Florence now, and continues to spin over South Carolina, and now Tropical Storm Florence is about 45 to 50 miles southeast of Florence, South Carolina. The bands of rain continue to pivot in, almost call it quasi-stationary. It's just hardly moving in the same places, getting the same ribbons of rain coming over. So that's why this is going to be such a catastrophic flood event for many areas down there, as the rivers will be rising and rising and rising over the next few days to record heights probably, as the storm finally starts to take off more toward the north and west tomorrow and then starts curling. And the overall track suggests that this storm is actually going to be right up over us here by Tuesday as it curls around and comes right up at us. So Tuesday comes right across New England with some tropical downpours and some tropical air, but nowhere near the amount of rain that's happening in the Carolinas. There's Tropical Storm Joyce and Tropical Storm Helene way out in the middle part of the Atlantic. Note here's Spain and Portugal over here, and there is the United Kingdom, and that's exactly where Tropical Storm Helene is going. It'll lose its tropical characteristics, but still produce tropical storm force winds in Ireland and parts of the British Isles here coming up Monday night into Tuesday. So that's it for there. If you're going to be traveling, this is our local forecast here for a low to middle 80s tomorrow and Monday. mid-70s along the coast, a bit of a sea breeze each day. Not much wind coming up the next few days. It'll turn more southerly on Tuesday ahead of remnants of Florence going by with those tropical downpours, maybe 2 inches of rain in spots or a little bit more in places. Then beautiful weather Wednesday and Thursday, and a brief spell of humid weather with a couple of scattered showers and storms here on Friday. That's your forecast for now. Have a great weekend.